Did you read this news? It's crazy. 92,000 crore rupees has to be paid by the telecom companies because of one Supreme Court decision. And out of this amount, more than 50% is to be borne only by two telecom companies, which is Vodafone and Airtel. What happened? Why are the telecom companies required to pay such a big amount to the government? We are going to talk about in this video the concept of AGR and exactly what happened right from 1994 to 2019. I'll give you a very simple example about how a telecom company has to operate in India. Our entire country is divided into 22 different circles. Like generally we divide a country in states. In the telecom space, it is divided into different circles. As a simple example, Maharashtra and Goa is one circle, Mumbai is another circle, and so on and so forth. Total 22 circles in India. If I were to start my own telecom company, I have to buy a license and a spectrum so that I can operate in a specific circle or in multiple circles in India. Now the question arises is, I can buy a license, agreed. License is very simple to understand, but what do we mean by buying a spectrum? Okay, spectrum, if you read in a very technical language, I don't think we'll even understand exactly what is a spectrum. It says like it is some radio frequency and electromagnetic waves and all that. Complete bouncer, okay. But I'll give you a very simple example, okay. So like if you're going on a highway, you have 3 speed lanes, 60, 70, 80. I can say that I want to always go from the 80 ka speed lane. So I buy a right to go from the 80 ka speed lane. I buy a range of 80 speed, okay. Similarly, in telecom, I may say that I want my services to be very fast, net speed to be very fast. Overall, I am interested in speed. So there are 3 lanes now. You can imagine in the air, in the atmosphere, there are 3 lanes, 2G, 3G, 4G. And I can buy this 4G lane, highway lane, 4G lane I can buy. So that's like a spectrum. I know those who are from the telecom field are going to really beat me up for this, but excuse me for that. But I guess this is like a very simple explanation which a layman can understand, okay. So you can actually buy spectrum, and how is it bought? So basically it is auctioned. The government auctions the spectrum, and you'll have to place a bid for that, and you get a spectrum and a license, okay. Now, when did this first take place? The first telecom spectrum was auctioned in India way back in 1994. But what happened after 1994? We'll have to understand a timeline very neatly, and that's what we are going to do right away. Okay, so let's understand the timeline very nicely. What happened? 1994, as I mentioned, the first license was issued, and I'll just quickly read it out from the newspaper. It said that with the introduction of National Telecom Policy, a number of companies were issued telecom licenses for which they were expected to pay a fixed fee every year. A very important point. So what happened in 1994 when the license was issued, when the spectrum was sold? At that time, government said that you have to pay a fixed fee for license and fixed fee for spectrum every year. Okay. So is it as a percentage of revenue? No, it's a fixed fee. Nothing is mentioned here as to what was the amount of fixed fee, but let's take an example. Let's say it's 20 crore rupees. You have to pay 20 crore irrespective of your revenue. But then what happened? From 1994 till 1999, none of the companies could actually pay this fixed fee, and that is why they requested a bailout package from the government. Bailout package is nothing but you request the government to give certain waiver offs, okay. So just waive off some fee which was due from the telecom companies is what they said. Government said, okay, we would try to come out with a solution. So in 1999 only, they said that instead of going ahead with a fixed license fee, let us propose a percentage fee on something. Okay, so the percentage is a percentage of AGR. What is this AGR? AGR is the adjusted gross revenue. Okay, so basically there will be some pluses and minuses to the revenue. So that's an adjusted gross revenue. I'll just quickly read it out for you. So AGR, again adjusted gross revenue, as I mentioned, is divided into 2 portions. Which 2 portions? License and spectrum. And for spectrum, you have to pay roughly 3 to 5% of your revenue. And for license fees, you have to pay 8% of your revenue. Okay, so please understand this. Do you have to pay spectrum fees only one time? Do you have to pay license fee only one time? No, you have to pay it every year. And every year, how much you are going to pay? 3 to 5% of your AGR for spectrum fees, and 8% of your AGR for license fees. I hope you have understood who is going to pay to whom. Telecom companies are going to pay to the government. But then the question started is, what is AGR? What is revenue? So please understand this very simple point. Revenue can be divided into 2 parts. Number one, it is revenue from your core operations, and number two is other revenue. Now, what could be other revenue? Other revenue could be interest on bank deposits. Other revenue could be like commission. Other revenue could be like profit on sale of asset. Other revenue could be foreign exchange fluctuations. It could include numerous other factors. And the actual fight between the telecom companies and the government started only because of what is the definition of AGR. Can you tell me logically what would be the side of telecom companies? For them, would they define AGR as the gross revenue or only core revenue from operations? They would obviously say we want only core revenue from operations, because gross revenue amount would be definitely higher, and all the telecom companies would definitely want to pay lesser amount. So telecom companies were saying we would go ahead only with core operations as AGR, and government was saying it should be gross revenue. As you'll have to calculate a percentage of the gross revenue. It's an Indian court system. Okay, so it's these discussions, these fighting which started in 2007. Finally, moving through all the levels of courts, finally 2019, 24th of October, I'm recording this video on 25th of October. So yesterday, Supreme Court, I'm reading it from the newspaper Business Standard, Supreme Court, having heard all arguments in the case, held that telecom operators could not be given any relief with respect to pending license claim fees. So what happened, I'll tell you. Because there was a tussle, very few telecom companies were paying percentage on the total revenue. They were paying only a smaller amount. They were paying percentage of the revenue from operations. So a lot of amount was pending to the government, and government said nothing doing. Supreme Court said nothing doing. You have to pay this to the government. Oh, what has happened with this? It's a very, very bad scenario, I can say. See, I feel right now the telecom companies are not in such a good state. On top of that, this Supreme Court decision comes up, giving zero relief to the telecom companies. And can you believe that the total due from all the telecom companies, all the telecom operators put together, the amount which they owe to the government is over 90,000 crore rupees. I'll give you top 3 or 4 numbers. Number 1 is Bharti Airtel. They have to give 21,000 crore rupees dues, license fees. Vodafone Group, excluding Idea, is 19,800 crores. Idea alone is 8,485 crores. Now the hilarious numbers. Arcom, which is almost bankrupt, they owe 16,000 crores. Aircel, almost gone. They owe 7,800 crores. And someone is very happy. And who's that? Reliance Jio. Why? Why is Reliance Jio happy? Mukesh bhai ne kuch setting kiya hai kya? No. A simple reason. See, this tussle has been going on since what? 1997. Okay. But Reliance Jio, abhi 2014, they have started the operations. So they are also paying less. They have not paid as per the gross revenue only. But hardly they have started their operations. So for Reliance Jio, the due is only 13 crores. Even if Mukesh bhai does something like this from the pocket, he can easily come up with that 13 crore figure right away. So it's not a problem for him at all. The worst scenario is this gloomy picture which I can see, and the Supreme Court has not yet told that within how many days or within how many months they have to pay this. But if they push this in a very short span of time, it's going to be a very tough road for Idea and Vodafone. If you have seen yesterday, the share price corrected by more than 20%. Anyways, it's doing pretty bad right now. It is at 5 rupees 65 paisa, and yesterday intraday I can see 4 rupees 35 paisa, which is the price this stock has seen. Feels very bad to look at these figures. And if this happens, if this continues, if government presses that this amount has to be paid within a short span of time, it would be pretty difficult for majority of the telecom companies to survive. And actually, in Business Standard only, they have given this separate article. If you can see, I don't know if the zoom is pretty clear or not. So this article which says that clock ticking for a 2-horse race. So this article says that if things worsen out for the telecom, it could be a possibility that there could be only 2 players surviving in this market for telecom companies, and it would be Airtel and Jio. So I hope other telecom companies would definitely try to survive and battle it out, but this current scenario is pretty gloomy. What should we do in such a scenario? I never give stock tips, everyone knows that. But I'll tell you a common sense thing now. As mentioned, see, all telecom companies have been pretty much beaten up by this decision. The lowest hit is Reliance Jio. Okay, I have done a separate video on Reliance Industries, so I feel comparatively beneficiary is not a correct word, but that's the least hit one. So for them, staying invested in Reliance Industries I don't feel that's going to be a big problem. Second thing is about Vodafone Idea. My God, for those who have invested already in Vodafone Idea, I don't think that there's going to be a much brighter scenario in the immediate future. That's what my interpretation is. There's no intention of defaming any company at all. Please don't take me wrong. It's just that what has happened in the current scenario is what I'm telling you. Because for Vodafone and Idea put together, I said it's a 28,000 crores of amount which is to be paid. And if court pushes this within a limited time frame, it's going to be pretty difficult for any company to give out such a huge amount of money. So if you are already invested, it's your choice whether to book losses or whether you want to still try to hold on to the tide. As far as Airtel is concerned, they are a little bit better off because in the previous annual report, this is very much there in the newspaper, they have mentioned that they had already factored in a liability of 6,000 crore rupees out of course, the 21,000 crore rupees which Airtel has to pay as a contingent liability. So they had already thought about this liability. They had disclosed this liability as an off-balance sheet item. So even comparatively better off is again Airtel. But right now, in the coming future, in the near term, I don't think any of the telecom companies standalone are a very, very bright way of investment. I would personally definitely like to stay away from telecom companies right now. But as always, I say do your own analysis, do your own research, and then think of investing in any share. I always do all my videos with a pure intention of sharing education. I don't get paid by any company to talk anything good about them, or I don't get paid by any company to मेरे competitor के बारे में बुरा बोलो. Nothing like that. So it's just pure educational content that I'm giving. Do take advice from your financial advisor or do your own studies and then only think about investing in a stock. I hope you have understood about this amazing current update, and I hope you have enjoyed this video as well. Like and share this video with majority of your friends. That's it from my side. Jai Hind. Bye-bye.